Hi guys, it's Monique from earlylearningmom.com. I'm here today to talk to you guys about making homemade books for your Doman program. So I basically have a schedule set up for Z that was given to us by Doman International, and what they want us to do is to go through 2 new homemade books a week and 2 old homemade books in a week, I guess, yeah. And I haven't really sat down to spend any solid time working on new books. I thought, I could make a couple each week and I would be golden, and I'm just finding that's not what I need. I need to sit down and dedicate some time to make maybe a couple months worth of books at once and have them ready to go so I can just grab it, pull them and go. Another thing I'm noticing is we've had to put a stop on a lot of our Bookshark material curriculum, and because I just found it really overwhelming to take on running a Doman program and doing a full year curriculum. So what I decided to do instead, I'm just going to put this here so I can put my books down, is to take some of the books from Bookshark and use the material to create homemade books. So I'm kind of getting the best of both worlds. So 2 of the books that we'll be using are the Usborne World of Animals. I also have the Usborne Book of World History. And these 2 books are not Bookshark, but they're books I wanted to pull out anyways. This is the Kingfisher First Encyclopedia of Animals, and this was a book that was recommended to use alongside the Sassafras Twins science book. So I had purchased this one, so I figured I could grab this and maybe make a few books from there. And we also have What If You Had Animal Teeth. And what I really like about this is there's just short little blurbs about each one. So this one is a naked mole, and it talks about the naked mole's teeth. And I thought what I could do is I could take the facts and the information, and then I could take a picture of what you would look like with that particular animal's teeth and put it at the back of our book. So the way that I make these books are, I find like, let's say we're going to be going through the chapter Animal Lives. Sorry, I'm still getting used to showing this on the camera. And so then they talk about habitats. And so there's a little blurb about habitats and then just some different types of habitats. And so what I would do is I would go through this information. Now there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either just type it out, or you can do voice to text and then go in and make your corrections. And so I'm going to go through here and get a bit about animals. So their habitats, their migration patterns, their defense mechanisms, camouflage. I'm going to talk about a few of these things and take the facts from here, and then I'm going to look on the computer, look through Google Imaging, and try to find some pictures to add to our homemade book. Now, unfortunately, I can't share these books with you because of copyright issues. So I am just taking the information from the books and I am making it so it is more accessible to my son. Because for him, while he can read all these words, all of the words in kind of different sizes, all over the place with different pictures, kind of is too much for him to look at. He has convergence issues, which means it's difficult for him to use his 2 eyes together. And so we're working on things to help him with that. However, when it comes to reading, having just the words on a plain paper in bigger font makes the reading more accessible. So for myself, because we own these books, I am just taking them and making them more accessible for my son to read. We are not selling them. We are not sharing them. They are for our family to use. So I know some people can be kind of touchy about copyright, especially if you are educated as a teacher. They really engrave that copyright into you, which is absolutely true. That's why you won't find any copyrighted information or like homemade books on my website just for that reason. I do not want to plagiarize from anybody, but I do want to make the material accessible to my child. And eventually we won't have to do that anymore. Eventually his eyes will be so developed that he will be able to read the information himself. But right now, while he can read some of the information, he can read more of it if I make it into a homemade book. So that is how I do that. I also have, I'll show you the Usborne Book of World History. Instead of talking about different animals, we'll be talking about like the first settlers and just the first great civilizations. And like there is a lot of information on these pages. So what I might do is I might break this into a couple of different books. And also with this book, I'm going to be honest with you, the pictures are kind of lame. Yeah, I'm not, Z's not like, ooh, that book's so interesting, because the pictures are kind of lame. So I'm hoping that I can look online and get some more modern pictures to add into our books. And because the words will be bigger, it'll be easier for us to use. So stick around. I'm going to go make a few books, and then I will show you how I put them together, and I'll show you a few of them, and so you can get some ideas on how to make homemade books for your child. Okay guys, so I made a few homemade books, and I just thought I'd come share them with you. I'm still going to keep working through the night, not through the night, but like more later in the evening on some of these books, but I kind of want to get comfy and take a quick shower and kind of work on it laying in bed. So I figured I'd show you what I've done so far. I have made 5 books, and what I do is I put them in little, I think they're called 3-prong folders. They have the little 3 prongs here. I call them duotangs. That's just kind of what they're called. But a lot of people call them in Canada, but when I call them that, sometimes people get confused. So I think the actual term is 3-prong folders. So what I did was I wrote on the front that this is for the reading program, and that what the title of the book is called. And the book that I showed you earlier, What If You Had Animal Teeth? Now, if I turn that completely into a homemade book, it would be a very, very long book. And it's just too long to keep focus. So I decided to split it up, and this type of book works really well to break into kind of almost like chapters, but I've done them as parts. So my cat apparently wants to read the book. So it is What If You Had Animal Teeth, Part 1. And it goes, what if you had animal teeth? So you've lost your front teeth. Before you know it, 2 new ones will push right into their space. But what if an animal's teeth grew in instead? And then I took a screenshot, like I took a picture with my phone of the page, of the picture, just to add some pictures to it. A beaver's front teeth are shaped like a chisel and are very sharp. They have a coating that contains iron that makes them super strong and orange. They are perfect for biting off bark and cutting down trees. And then I found a picture on the internet of a beaver, and so we could see his orange teeth. If you had beaver teeth, your front teeth would never stop growing, so you can gnaw all the tough stuff you like day after day for the rest of your life. And then once again I took a picture of the book where they showed the little boy with beaver teeth. A great white shark's front teeth are like all its others. Sorry, it's hard to read upside down. 2 inches long with an edge like a steak knife. They're great for biting through super thick things like elephant seal skin. Great white sharks get new teeth about every 100 days. That keeps their bite at its sharpest. And then, once again, I went on the internet and I found a real picture of a great white shark where you can see all of its teeth. If you had great white shark teeth, you'd never have to worry about losing a tooth. There'd always be a new tooth growing behind it, ready to slide into its place. And then I took a picture of the book, of the little boy, or sorry, the little girl, sorry, with shark teeth, and she's putting them under the pillow for the tooth fairy. So I stopped the book there, and then in part 2, we move on to learn about narwhals' front teeth and elephant teeth. And then in the next book, we'll move on. So that's how I take one book that, you know, you usually would sit down and you'd read from cover to cover with your child, but the writing is so small, they can't read it on their own at this point. And so if you, well, maybe they could, but it'd be more stressful in their eyes. And so by giving them clear contrast, so black on white, and separating the pictures from the words, you're making it easier for your child to read so they can read quicker, and the quicker you read, the more you understand. So the other thing that I did tonight was I went into the Kingfisher's children's animal encyclopedia, and I took sections. So we started off with animal defense, and I took that one page and I turned that entire page into a book. And then I went on to animal migration, and we also did animal habitat. And so when I present these to my son, the first day, we're going to have one book for about 3 days, and I'm going to present it 3 times. So he'll have seen it 9 times. So the first day, I'm going to read it to him. And when I start seeing that he's not really paying attention, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read the title, and then I'm going to show him the page. And he can read faster than in his head than I can read out loud, and so I just flip through it. And then he takes over reading. So right now we're working on teaching him to read independently. So some days, some books, I might read to him for the whole first day, and maybe the first reading the second day, and then for the rest of the second day and the third day, I just flip through it. I read the first, like the title, maybe the first page, and then I let him read it. Sometimes I find, especially because we're introducing new books and we're showing old books, sometimes with the old books, I only have to read them to him the first time, and then I just show it to him, and he reads it in his head. And he, like I said, he can read quickly, and he's been able to demonstrate to us that he understands what he reads. Because what I'll do is I'll take a dry erase board, and I'll ask him a question about the book at the end. Like, let's say, for the narwhals, I'll say, what is another name for the narwhal's tooth? And I'll put tusk or molars, you know, and I show him the board and he selects the correct answer. And so it shows me, without quizzing him too much and without asking him to answer with his words, which sometimes he may know the answer but he may not be able to get the words out, it gives me an opportunity to understand, to know if he understands what he's reading. And I don't do this too often. I might do it once a day or twice a day, and sometimes I don't do it at all. I just trust that he's learned them. But it's a fun way for him to show, hey, Mom, I know this. But if I sit there and I continue, like, every page, I'm like, okay, what did it say? Answer the question. He's going to get fed up, and he's just going to start picking the wrong answer just to shut me up. So that is it. I'm going to go back upstairs. I'm going to take a shower, get nice and comfy, and I'm hoping to finish the What If You Had Animal Teeth book. That's going to hold us off for several weeks. And I have many of these books. I just, a friend of mine on YouTube started talking about them with her son, and I saw them. I'm like, that is a fun way to teach your kids about different animals and how they use their particular body parts. So I'm probably going to, if Z likes them, which I anticipate he will, I'm probably going to be busy turning these into homemade books quite a bit. So anyhow, I hope this was helpful. Sorry, it was a little longer than I anticipated, but I hope it's helpful to you guys. If you like these videos, be sure to thumbs up, subscribe. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. I want to say by the end of the year, but I feel like that is like that might be a difficult goal to reach, but hey, maybe you guys can help me out. So anyhow, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.